should be broken. He then bade each of the warriors drive away his horse, send it far away and go forwards. Think of handswork and be of good heart. Then Offa's kingman first found out that the Earl would not stand for slackness. He let fly his hands from this dear one then, his hawk, to the woods, and strode to fight. From that one could tell that the youth would not weaken in warfare when he took his weapons. Edric wished also to follow his leader, his lord, to battle. He began to bear his spear into the fray. He had a firm resolve, while his hands he could yet hold his shield and broadsword. He fulfilled his vow when he had to fight before his lord. Then Byrhtnoth began to draw up the warriors there. He rode along and advised them, showed the men how they ought to stand and keep their place, and bade that they should hold their shields up in the right way, firm with the fist, and they should have no fear. When he had rightly arranged the folk, he lined them, the men dearest to him, where he knew his hearth band were most steadfast. Then at the shore stood, calling out sternly the Viking's messenger. He uttered the words he who threateningly delivered the seafarer's message to the Earl where he stood on the bank. Bold seamen sent me to you, bade me to tell you you may quickly send rings for your protection, and it is better for you that you buy off this clash of spears with your tribute than you should share in so hard a battle. We need not destroy each other if you are wealthy enough. In the return of the gold we wish to make a firm peace. If you, who are most powerful here, so decide that you may wish to free your folk by ransom, give to the seamen by their own judgment. Wealth in exchange for friendship and accept peace with us. Then that money we mean to go to our ships, put to our sea, and leave you in peace. Byrhtnoth spoke out. He raised his shield and shook his slender spear. He uttered the words angrily, and unbending he gave his answer. Do you hear, seafarer, what this people of England say? That we want to send you spears as payment, deadly point, an ancient sword, a hero which will be of no use to you in battle. Seaman's message, take this message back. Say to your people much more unwelcome tidings, that here stands an earl of no ill fame with his war troop who means to defend this homeland of England, Athelred's kingdom, my lord's people and territory. Fall they must in battle, the heathens. It seems too shameful to me that you should go to your ships with our wealth, unfought for now, that thus far here you have not penetrated our land, Not so easily should you come by riches. Point and edge should be first decide the matter between us. Grim war play. Before we give tribute, he bade shields be raised. Then the warriors go forward. So they all stood on the riverbank. Because of the water, each troop could not reach the other. The river came flowing here in ebb tide. The waterways locked together. It seemed too long until they could bring their shields together, their spears together. They stood about the paint stream in their war might, the East Saxon oared and the Viking here. None on either side could harm the others except those that fell through the arrow's flight. The waters drove outwards, the seamen stood ready, many Vikings eager for fighting. The hero's protector then bade the bridge to be held by a war-hardened warrior called Wulfstan, a bold man like his kinsman. He was a churl's son who killed with his spear the first man who bravely stepped onto the bridge. With Wulfstan stood undaunted fighters there. Athelred and Marcus, two bold men who did not mean to flee from the ford, but rather they steadfastly fought with their foes for as long as they could wield their weapons. When they recognised and clearly saw the bridge keepers they had found there were fierce, and the hated strangers began to use guile, they proposed that they should be allowed to come over, to cross the ford and go to line up with the infantry. Then the Earl, in his overconfidence, began to allow too much land to the loathsome folk, the Vikings. He started to call out to them over the cold water, "Son of Brithelm." The warriors listened. "Now room has been made for you. Come quickly to us, men to fight. Only God knows who to whom shall fall control of this slaughter place." The war wolves waded, did not worry about water. The Viking troop went over the paint, over the bright stream that carried their shields. The seamen bore the linden wood to land. Against the fierce men there stood ready Brythnoth and his warriors. With shields he bade the war wall be formed, and the troop hold firm against the foe. Battle was nigh. Glory in fighting. The time had come when doomed men were to fall there. A shout went up in place. Ravens circled round. The eagle, the carrion eager. Turmoil was on earth. They sent file-hardened spears from their fists. Grimly ground darts flying forth. Bows were busy. Shields clashed with point. Bitter was the rush of war. Warriors fell on both sides. Youth lay still. Wolfmere was wounded. He chose death in battle. The kinsman of Brythnoth, with swords he was cruelly cut down, his sister's son. A similar reward was given to the Vikings then. I heard that Eadwir struck one mightily with his sword. He did not hold back the blow, so that the doomed warrior fell at his feet. For this the Lord thanked him. Then Berthyn, household officer, when he had the chance, so they stood fast, those firm-minded warriors in battle. They eagerly sought to see who with spearhead could first win the life of from a doomed man, a beweaponed warrior. The slain fell to the ground. They stood firm. Brythnoth commanded them, bade each man turn his thoughts to the struggle, who meant to win a good name against the Danes. A war-hardened Viking then stepped up, raised his weapon, and shield for protection strode forth towards the warrior. Just as firmly went the Earl to the Ceorl. Each of them meant harm to each other. Then the seaman sent a southern spear, so that the Lord of Warriors was wounded. He shoved it with his shield, so the shaft shattered, and the spear shivered so that it sprang away. The warriors became angry. With his spear he stabbed the proud Viking who had wounded him. The champion was experienced. He let his franker bite through the youth's neck. He guided his franker axe bite through the youth's neck. His hand guided it so that it took the life of his deadly attacker. Another hastily hurled, so that brine burst apart. His wounded in the breast through the mail coat. In his heart there lodged the deadly point. The Earl was gladder at this. Then the bold man laughed. Thank God for the day's work which the Lord allowed him. Just then a certain Dreg sent a dart from his hand, flying from the fist so that it sped forth through Athelfred's noble thane. At his side stood a boy not yet fully grown, a youth in warfare, who hastily drew the bloody spear from the warrior. This was Wolfmere's son, Wulfstan's son. He sent the hardened spear back again, and the point pierced so that he lay dead, who had severely harmed the Lord. Then the mail-clad warrior went to the Earl, and he meant to take off the nobleman's rings, but his war gear and jewels and patterned sword. Brythnoth drew his sword from his sheath, broad and bright, and struck at his brine. One of the seafarers was too quick, hindered him, and wounded the Earl's arm. The golden-hilted sword fell to the earth, nor could he hold the hard grave. Wield the weapon. Yea, he uttered words, the grey-haired warrior. He emboldened the fighters, bade them go forth, those good comrades. He could no longer stand firm on his feet. He looked to the heavens. I thank you, folk ruler, for all the joys I have experienced in my life. Gentle Lord, I now have the greatest need that you grant mercy to my spirit, so that my soul may journey to you, Lord of angels, and into your power travel in peace. I beg of you that hell's harmful beings may not take it from here.